Greetings. So first I would like to say peace. Peace is the universal greeting of the righteous, of course. And today is another session of Drayon's empowerment, enlightenment, and motivation. Well, today I'm just going to speak on some history, going to a little bit of Israeli history, going to a little bit of Sicilian Italian history, Sicilian, Italian, Israeli connection, and some Latino history, and etc. But of course, godly history. It's about God and the people of God and stuff like that. And I'll probably even go into a little bit of my own family ancestry and roots. Well, a lot of people don't know that some of the first people of God, I said before in one of my prior podcasts, in one of my prior sessions, that Sicilians and Italians are some of the very first people of God, as well as Israel, as well as Israel. This is why there's always like a Sicilian and an Italian connection. A Sicilian and Italian Israeli connection, rather. Even with the Romans and ancient Israel and Jerusalem, even though some of it was a plight, but some of it wasn't. Israel still had their polity and their temples and etc. And the Romans were there. And some of the Romans who were Sicilians and Italians were actually, converting unto the belief of Jehovah and Jesus Christ, knowing that originally this is their original God. This is who they derivate from. It is said that the Italians and the Sicilians derivate from God by way of Esau. Now I know you said Esau is another name for the God Jehovah. Yes. You can find it in very ancient records and some hidden records of history and etc. Esau's name is Lord Esau or Esau the Magnificent. It's another name of Jehovah. So God is over the Sicilian and Italian people as Jehovah, because Jehovah is Esau, or Esau is Jehovah. But God is also somebody to Israel as Jehovah, and he's also known as Yaqub or Yaqub. These were symbolic and metaphorical names that were given to connotate different aspects of the one creator and etc. And they knew this. The people that are Sicilians and Italians, Romans, and the people of Israel knew this. So there were always close relations and etc. This is why, in the Bible, there's even a book called the Book of Romans. The Sicilian and Italian people are a very religious people and a godly people. This is why Sicilians and Italians eat a lot of pasta. The pasta is with the red sauce. Esau was said to have eaten red soup, and etc. So these things are very symbolic and powerful. But also to Latinos also being another part of Israel, but being mixed in this world, in this part of the universe, with Arabian DNA as well. But they're known as Latinos. They did things as Latinos for a while. But in some place, even before what I was explaining to you about Krypton, or some part of heaven called Krypton, where Jehovah ruled from his palace, before that, there was an existence on planet Mars. And Jehovah was known on Mars as another name called Martin. But he was still known as Montezuma. He was still known as Jehovah. And there he was the Godhead of the Latinos. And there were also an Arabian people there and etc. But there's this whole history with that. I have to save that for another session of Drayon's empowerment, enlightenment, and motivation. So these are very godly and spiritual people of the book, so to speak. People say, well, you have spoken on Sicilians and Italians before. I know you may say, what is the Sicilian? Well, I can go into it. Believe it or not, my family ancestry is Sicilian Italian. Sicilian Italian roots. My name is Harrison. Drayon Theodore Harrison. My whole name, all three of my names on earth all three of my names are Sicilian Italian names. The way that you say Harrison in Italian is Harrison, you know. But my family is very rooted in ancient Sicilian or past Sicilian roots and etc. You know, so I can go into some history about that. The Sicilian people, the Sicilian language itself is mainly consists of Arabic and Spanish. But Sicilians are a mixture of French, of Greek rather. You know, this is why Sicilians and Italians are the same people. Sicilians and Italians are pretty much the same because they have some of the same DNA, their Greek DNA or their Italian DNA. Sicilian Italians having that Sicilian Italian DNA, that Greek DNA. The Sicilian is Greek, Spanish, also Arabian, French, and Normandy, but are very much a Sicilian and Italian people. The Italian people are the mixture of Spanish, Greek, Spanish, and Arabian. So Sicilians and Italians are those people. And there was also a Jewish influx into Italy and Sicily in the ancient times. And a lot of them became also mixed with Jewish DNA and Jewish blood. Now, I have another family name, me personally, just going into some of my family roots, my name, there's another name in our family called Scott, which derivates from the Italian way of saying biscotto or biscotto. You know, it's we are family that are the biscottos or scotto. But my family personally is a family that has Sicilian, Italian roots, and we also fluxed into and have English roots in England. Okay? So I know I'm pretty privy to the whole Sicilian and Italian thing, and not only being in England, I have family roots in Israel. But being Sicilian Italian, also having that Arabian DNA. So it's very powerful stuff. But this is a very religious and a godly type of people. Though there are other things inside of Sicilians and Italians, of course. And there are other things inside of Latinos and etc. You know, I mean, things that go on and different various types of things and etc. But these are the people of the book. Israel is the people of the book. You know, the Sicilians, Italians, who are Romans, or derived from ancient Romans, with historical records proving that on earth and etc. And also, the people of Israel and Latinos being an Israeli type of Arabian type of person or people. The roots of such. So it's very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff. But the important thing is, is to realize that some of these very same peoples, even at the time of Israeli diaspora, even though Israel is being gathered back to Israel according to prophecy and stuff like that, and Sicilians and Italians being known as Sicilians and Italians and all these things, and some people may not know them to be the people of God, but they very much are. This is why, with Catholicism, Catholicism is so influential and etc. Of course, the teachings of Israel are so influential and etc. And some of the Sicilians and Italians are Muslims. A godly people. And Latinos are very religious and godly people. When they get into religion and when they delve deeply into religion and all of these things. So it's very powerful stuff. Going on to another thing, when the Most High God Jehovah was over the Latinos in Mars, he's the Godhead of the Latinos in Mars, known as one of his other attributes as Martin. Mars had become a war planet. And Jehovah had to stop how it had stuff. He had to stop how it existed, and then went to another part of heaven, and his people were there. But it was a war, it had became a war planet. So one of the attributes of God as is known, and Martin means the God of war. But this is not, fully expressing everything about the God Jehovah. The God Jehovah or Allah is a loving God, and etc. But even Moses said it. He speaks of God's warlike attributes sometimes, and etc. So it's very powerful stuff. So stay enlightened and continue to elevate and empower yourself. Stay in the scripture, because this is a time that prophecy is being fulfilled. And all of these things. You gotta stay focused. And keep your focal point on the manifestation of godly things in the heavenly kingdom manifesting itself in the prophesied new world that is set to internalize itself and to be where earth is presently. And where all will come before the throne of Jehovah, the throne before Jesus, the throne of Jesus, or the Lord Esau the Magnificent, or some may say is Yaku. Another one of the attributes of Jehovah is Yaku. This is very symbolic stuff and all of that stuff, like I was explaining before. This is be before this is serious stuff. You'll be before the throne of Jehovah, the throne of God. All of the universe on a day of judgment. Whether people think, I'm like this, I'm like that, I'm somebody like this. Yeah, and I don't care if you're somebody like something. Everybody's going before there's a lot of worlds, including this world, that's going before that throne. There's some worlds that Jehovah's going to say you don't have to be in the day of judgment. They don't have to be in the day of judgment. They always do things like they're supposed to. So it's very powerful stuff. So keep yourself spiritually empowered and spiritually enlightened, so that you may grasp the teachings and the secrets and the mysteries of God. Until next time, I say peace to you all. This has been another session of Drion's empowerment, enlightenment, and motivation. Oh, I leave you my righteous dance. Oh. Bless you all.